Recognizing the member for Richmond South Centre.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for the opportunity to stand up and speak in support of a motion by a member of Vancouver West End. That be resolved that this House condemn violence and intimidation of artists and performers in the drag community. For starter, I want to humbly express the fact that I too am in need to learn from my colleagues and everyone else in the community as we come together, help our community support the 2S LGBTQ+ community. Let us come together and learn how to be an ally to the fight for the most basic human rights that the majority of us take for granted. People in the community continue to face stigma and discrimination, which put people at risk for much higher rates of violence, poverty, mental health issues, and other complex challenges. For people of color and Indigenous people, this issue is further amplified. With permission, I would like to share an incident in Richmond. Imagine, Honourable Speaker, a basic right we all take for granted in this chamber is somehow no longer accessible to us. Imagine a person in a position of authority whom we trust and chooses to exercise personal bias to deny us the very basic right. To start a story, I attended an event held by youth in Richmond School as a guest speaker. After my boring speech, I took a seat by the entrance of the library. I quickly noted outside the library there was a young BIPOC individual who was crying. The peers surrounded the individual and attempted to comfort the individual. I decided to approach and attempt to find out what happened. The young person's situation was both shocking and shook me to the core. The person self-identified as transgendered. For over 1 hour, the young person was in need to use washroom but couldn't. The young person's previous attempt to use the school's all-gender washroom was stopped and prevented by a school staff. I learned that the school staff denied the young person's right to access washroom by telling the individual to use the regular washroom, like everyone else. The young person couldn't leave the school without giving up their spot in the activity. Without a safe and accessible facility, the young person struggled with both a biological stress and mental frustration. I had to step in. I escorted the young person straight to the all-gender washroom in the very same school. Despite the fact that school staff saw us walking straight to the all-gender washroom, the staff decided not to stop us this time. I further shared the frustration with the Richmond School Board, and I want to express my sincere gratitude to the Richmond School trustees for taking time out of their busy schedule and listened. Their unwavering determination to address the issue was much appreciated and needed. Drag performers are skilled artists and performers that contribute so much to our BC arts and cultural scene. Violence, hate, intimidation that drag performers have to face in BC is unacceptable. Such action of violence and intimidation against drag performers, comes from a place of misunderstanding and hate. Common themes include homophobic and transphobic languages, in addition to statements condemning SOGI 123. We must all work together to promote inclusivity, kindness, and acceptance. Our government continues to work hard to advance human rights and the rights and freedom of people of all sexual orientation and gender identities. Only by working together can we make BC a place where people are truly free to be who they are. Trans flag flew for the first time on BC legislation law, and the flag raising event was attended and supported by both BC NDP caucus representatives and BC Liberal caucus representatives. The provincial government also removed more than 1,300 incidents of gender language in regulation across government to reflect British Columbia's diversity. This change was made to ensure that all British Columbians have equal access to government services, no matter their sexual orientation, gender identity, race, or cultural beliefs. Our government also re-established a Human Rights Commission to ensure the spectrum of gender identity is included on BC identification cards. Now, British Columbians can choose the third option in the gender field on the BC issue ID. Our government moved to ensure publicly funded affirmed role surgery are available in BC, making us the first province in Western Canada to offer these essential procedures. All 60 schools and several First Nations and independent schools are part of the BC SOGI Educated Network to help schools to be more inclusive for students. I also want to express my sincere gratitude for University of Victoria for establishing the first largest transgender archive in the world. Although it is important to remember how far we have come, we must also acknowledge there's much more work to do. For people to feel safe, we must come and stand together and amplify their voices and take steps to help our neighbors, friends, and colleagues to be safe from violence. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you, member.